Hello, welcome to Dungeon Rolls Podcast. I'm your host Justin. So this is part one on my video essay or whatever on how to cure superhero fatigue. A lot of people are getting burnt out from DC and Marvel movies because they're very repetitive. They're putting politics in the head of making good movies, and they're too controlling, right? And they're not giving artistic license to the directors and the actors, right? So part one, my first step on how to fix the superhero fatigue. One is, and this is important because DC and Marvel are ruining stuff, and unless there's a third competing comic book universe, cinematic movie universe, that they're not gonna. DC and Marvel are not gonna get better, right? Because they're already copying each other. They're putting politics ahead of like making money. So we need like a third cinematic comic book universe that's going to kick the other two companies in gear. So step one, somebody, some studio, maybe Blumhouse or whatever, needs to buy the rights to either it needs to be like a comic book company, right? The superhero nobody cares about superhero movies that are not based off comic books, right? No, it's just a fact, right? Like, for example, the Nightman. Remember that old '90s TV show? I saw that stuff. I saw that. Did not give a crap as a kid because I didn't recognize who Nightman was. And if I had known that Nightman was actually based off a comic book, I probably would have watched it. So not only do we need that, they need to buy the rights for a comic book universe, right? But it needs to be recognizable, like something like Image or Valiant, especially Image, because Image has had cartoons, video games, animated movies, etc., based off their comic books, right? So I think Image would be the one to go, but second would be Valiant, because Valiant has also had some like movies and video games based off their stuff. I don't think there's been any cartoons, but Image, Valiant would work, and I think Image and Valiant would especially work because they're both from the '90s, and we're already starting to see '90s nostalgia films being put out there, like Under the Silver Lake. There was that movie, something dark this way or whatever. No, Dark Times. I think that was the name of the movie, right? And then there was like that '90s Jonah Hill movie that nobody watched. But yeah, but when my generation starts to hit their like mid 30s to 40s, that's when you're gonna see '90s nostalgia hit, because people are already getting burnt out from '80s nostalgia, like that Death Note movie. Like Death Note had nothing to do with '80s, and they put like '80s music in it. So dumb, Adam Wingard or whoever directed that. So part two is guideline 2 is to get modern politics out of your upcoming movies. Get modern trends out of your movies, and if you're gonna have politics in your movie, in your movies, you gotta have some characters be right wing, some characters be left wing, because that's that way that's a fair representation of the environment. So that way of the world. So like that way you're not pissing off one side or the other, because you're showing representation of both sides, right? So yeah. So third guideline, and it would be better if there were no politics, but you're gonna have some politics for drama and stuff. So like the third guideline, right? And this is important, especially if we're gonna do an Image cinematic universe, is not all the movies, but some of the movies have to be R-rated and have gore and have swearing. Not dumb dumbass, like, uh, violence and swearing just for the heck of it, but like, violence and swearing, because like with movies like Deadpool and like Logan, we've seen like, oh, like R-rated movies, superhero movies can make money, right? And people are starving for like, R-rated superhero movies, and there haven't been a lot of R-rated superhero movies, right? I can only think of like, 3 or 4 like uh, R-rated superhero movies off the top of my head, like, uh, but yeah, like, uh, that so like that would help, with the superhero fatigue, uh, right, right then, because like there haven't been a lot of, R-rated superhero movies. So like, part 2 of this video, I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on, I'm gonna use Image Comics as an example on how to fix superhero fatigue and like to set up an Image cinematic universe. So make sure to look forward to that. I just have to do some like a little bit of research on that subject, because I tried to do that earlier, and then I forgot like the names of superheroes and comics. So, and like Image is going to be very tough, because Image has that thing where like creators own the rights to their characters, so we're gonna need to figure stuff out on how to, like, come up with, stuff, ways to pay creators off to make these cinematic universes work, because some of these characters need to die. And like that might piss off, creators, because they think of their characters as cash cows, but like for like for a cinematic crossover universe to work, some of these characters need to die. So that's it for this video, guys. Peace.